He called me. We had a very, very good talk generally about things. He was in Hawaii, and it was a very, very nice call. And I actually thought we covered a lot of territory.
That was the president-elect Wednesday night talking about his brief chat with President Obama, but it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies between these two. It all started with this on Monday.
I am confident in this vision because I'm confident that if I had run again and articulated it, I think I could have mobilized a majority of the American people to rally behind it. I know that in conversations that I've had with people around the country, even some people who disagreed with me, they would say the vision, the direction that you point towards is the right one.
What's Obama really saying there? If he ran against Trump, he thinks he would have won. It's not every day that a sitting president, Matt, makes a comment like that. This was essentially trash talking, right? Some people say it wasn't necessary. It was sort of professorial shade, but shade nonetheless.
Yeah. I think a lot of what Obama, when he throws shade, it's professorial. Yeah. But I think it is largely academic. But for Obama, it's about his legacy. He does not want this election to be seen as a repudiation of him and his last 8 years. He sort of subtly wants it to be seen as a repudiation of Hillary Clinton and the campaign where she ran.
That wasn't so.
Yeah, that wasn't so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Basically, it was like her fault.
Yeah. So I think that is where we're seeing a lot of the trash talking, and it's striking really the way that Trump seems to be undermining Obama a lot, or trying to, from the sidelines, and you wonder whether in a couple months whether it's going to be role reversals where Obama's going to be on the sidelines trying to undermine Donald Trump once he takes the
And Trump did not take too kindly to this. He tweeted out, doing my best to disregard the many inflammatory President O statements and roadblocks, thought it was going to be a smooth transition. Not. In some ways, Karen, this is like a reversion to form. I mean, these folks didn't like each other initially, then they sort of were friends. And so what's your sense?
Well, if that was the best he could do at disregarding, it's not very good. And I think it's a preview of what lies ahead. I mean, Donald Trump always is reacting to what is the last thing that was said about Donald Trump. But Barack Obama seems to have a pretty good talent for getting under his skin. And it would be a very unusual role for an ex-president to play. They usually kind of just fade off. But given that the Democratic Party is sort of leaderless at this point, this may be the preview of a buddy movie not.
Yeah, but Obama did seem to know, right, that if he just called Trump and maybe said, bruh, chill out, or whatever he may have said, and this is what Trump had to say about that phone call.
Our staffs are getting along very well, and I'm getting along very well with him, other than a couple of statements that I responded to, and we talked about it and smiled about it. And nobody's ever going to know because we're never going to be going against each other in that way. So, but it was a great conversation.
Domenico, where are things now between these two?
But this is a very delicate thing for President Obama to try to figure out. I mean, he knows that he's probably best, used if he can get in Donald Trump's ear. So you know that if you're, as Karen said, nice to him and say something complimentary as the last thing that he's heard, then he's more likely to take your call. At the same time, Donald Trump really doesn't like kind of wusses, right? He doesn't like people who just sort of always are kissing his butt, so to speak, getting him food and just bowing down. He likes people who can sort of mix it up a little bit. You saw that, a little bit of the crinkle in his eye there, a little bit of a smile when he said, aside from a couple of statements here and there. So I think it's an interesting line to walk. As long as it doesn't get too personal, I think President Obama, is trying to figure out a way to show that he's tough, but also have some influence.
But Jackie, this is personal, right? I mean, because here is Donald Trump, who ran as the anti-Obama and is poised to roll back much of what Obama has been able to do.
Of course it's personal, but this quickly becomes not about President Obama and how Trump reacts to other people, to world leaders that might not like him, to members of Congress who don't like him, how he reacts to them and how he just sort of takes a punch and moves on. This could be a major distraction. during his administration if he doesn't kind of get a handle on this need to punch back for every single thing, because this could cause an international incident.
Right.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
And they've gone back and forth, Trump and Obama, in terms of this relationship, enemies, sort of friends, and then frenemies. And this is sort of a snippet of what this relationship has been like.
Mr. President, it was a great honor being with you, and I look forward to being with you many, many more times in the future. Thank you, sir.
President Obama, who, by the way, I've gotten along with so well. No. He's really doing great. He's been so nice.
You know, I haven't shared previously private conversations I've had with the president-elect. I will say that they have been cordial, regardless of our obvious deep disagreements about policy. Maybe I can transmit some thoughts about maintaining the effectiveness, integrity, cohesion of the office.
And Matt, that of course is all post-election. Where do you see this going? Obama seems to again see himself as something of a Trump whisperer, but also Trump at least seems to be a little bit antagonized by Obama's move to cement his legacy on any number of things, whether it's banning some drilling, whether it's rolling back some of the infrastructure in place where you could track mostly Muslim and Arab men. Where do we see this going?
I mean, I think it is interesting where Trump, there's not like a strong ideological core to him. And so
Which is what Obama said, right? That he's a pragmatist.
And so you see from all sides people believing that they can influence Trump. And I think Obama is one of those people who believes put him in a room with somebody for 30 minutes and he'll convince them to their side. So I think you see that aspect of President Obama believing that he can influence President-elect Trump on the merits of his health care plan, and try and win him over, which, I don't know. Trump is so unpredictable that you don't know that. But I think that that's what leads President Obama to both trying to have a relatively seamless transition, but also try and convince him to keep intact as much of his policy prescriptions as he can.
And Jackie, we'll see Obama go to the Hill, meet with Democrats about Obamacare on Thursday.
I do wonder what kind of reception he's going to get, because he is someone who hasn't really made Congress a priority. He hasn't really fostered
the party
as a priority over his last 8 years. And just at the end there, did he start kicking in and trying to make up, I guess, for lost time? So that'll be really interesting. In addition to him trying to save Obamacare, it'll be interesting to see how Democrats in that room receive a man who led them the last 8 years, but kind of, in a lot of ways, hung them out to dry.
Yeah. And what are you looking for, Domenico, in terms of those meetings that that Obama will have? And in terms of, are we going to see more moves for him trying to secure his legacy on any number of items?
Democrats have a real choice to make on where they stand in the way and try to with Republicans or try to work with them. So, you might expect the president to try to pick out some areas that are really important to him, to tell Democrats that they need to try to protect in whatever way that they can, and choose their battles and maybe lay out a prescription for here are some of the things he wants to do, but also what he might do post-presidency, because he has talked about trying to recruit some talent to lead the new Democratic Party, whatever that might be.
And maybe even look at gerrymandering and redistricting, working with Eric Holder on that. We'll have to see. Coming up, President-elect Trump's inauguration inspirations, possibly a bit of JFK.
My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear
that you will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States